been here.
I mean, I've been here all along, but it's been a while since I've seen all of you. Hello.
That's true. Melissa has been around. For those of you that have been asking where she is, she's
I'm
right there.
hiding.
She's hiding. And
Probably
today,
wearing this exact same shirt.
it could be. So hello to everybody who's joining us right now. For those of you that are logging on right now, such as my sister Heather,
Hello, Heather.
who is normally in Colorado, but as of right now is only a block away visiting with my mom.
Yep.
While we do the live chat. That's right, she made the trip. It's my turn next. I've got to go to Colorado next. Once we get moved, once things are settled, I'll go down and I'll visit my new brother Steve. Heather's met him, I think, a few times already.
Yeah.
They got out for dinner. I feel left out. I've got to go and visit them. So hello, everybody from all around the world. This is an exciting week. The week started off exciting because my sister Heather came to visit, like I said, and I'm always happy to see my sister. Even though she pinches, pokes, and torments me, it's no different than the rest of my family. Why should she change? But tomorrow is Melissa's birthday. I don't know what that is. Like a moose horn?
Moose horn. And it was Heather's birthday.
I feel like that was like a trombone with the hat at the end. Wah, 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 wah.
It's like a birthday week. So Heather's birthday was on Monday, mine is tomorrow. And we're celebrating our birthdays together. So it's been a pretty fun week. I have to say, we've had a lot of adventures this week.
Yeah, Heather's birthday was on the 25th. Melissa's birthday is on the 28th.
Yep.
So it makes for an eventful week.
Josh's birthday is also on the 25th.
Yes, it was. Yeah, our friend Josh. But I was doing something that I've never done before. Well, I was trying to do it somewhat covertly, and without Melissa's help, I decided. Well, actually, I didn't decide. She decided for me. Melissa requested for me.
He said, "What would you like for your birthday?" And I said, "You know what? I don't want anything for my birthday. I'm sure a lot of you get it." I said, "I just want to have family time, like spending time with you guys, but I'm serious." And he said, "No, I need something." And I said, "All right, you know what I'd like? I'd like you to make my cake." And he's like, "Okay." And I don't want it to be from a box. Wait.
And
from
then I went,
scratch? So he's trying to make a cake from scratch.
Oh, I'm not trying to make a cake. I have succeeded at making a cake.
It smells good in the house, so...
It does.
Yeah. So that's...
Yeah. So just an hour ago, I had to prep. This is like a cake that takes a while to prep. So I had to make the filling earlier and put it in the fridge so that it wouldn't get a skin on it. I had to put this saran wrap kind of down on it. And then I made the cake and I let it cool. And then I put the filling in, and then I put the whole thing in the fridge. And then tomorrow I have to layer on the chocolate ganache. I decided to make I'm not going to say it. Do you know what I made?
Oh, I'm guessing I know.
You think I made?
I think you meant, will I spoil my own surprise? Will you be disappointed if I know exactly what it is? You know that I know what it is.
I'll give you 3 guesses to guess the cake I made.
I don't need 3 guesses.
Okay, you got 1 guess. What is it?
It's the donut. It's the donut cake.
It's a donut cake?
You know, the donut I like. Oh!
What's the name of it?
I keep thinking creme brulee, but it's not creme brulee. It is Boston cream.
She's right. Of course she's right. Melissa is... She could pick up a bottle. Oh, look, Melissa, you got a birthday gift.
That was super nice.
Thank you so much. I thank you on behalf of Melissa. She's right there.
And thank you all so much for the early birthday wishes too. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I decided for the very first cake I've baked from scratch ever to make Melissa a Boston cream pie, which is just a cake called a pie. I feel like that's a pretty advanced cake for a novice cake maker, but I got the. Tomorrow I really just have to do the icing part, and then it'll be ready to play.
Dana's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Dana.
Yeah, so I made everything. I was most impressed that I didn't burn the milk on the stove. Like you had to bring the milk to a slow boil before you mixed in the other ingredients, which I can't remember offhand. There's vanilla and egg whites and other sorts of things, and sugar and things like that. So Melissa's favorite donut is Boston cream pie donut, or Boston cream donut. So I thought, why not make her a Boston cream cake or Boston cream pie? So that's what I did. We'll have to get a taste test from you tomorrow. Maybe not live on camera, but next time we chat, Melissa can tell you how the cake went.
Can you imagine if he went through all that effort and it did taste like sawdust, and I told him that it tasted like sawdust?
It will not taste like sawdust.
It will be delicious, I guarantee it.
For 2 reasons it won't taste like sawdust. 1, there's no sawdust or wood in it.
Well,
that's a good
you
reason.
missed a big step of the recipe.
But also, when I was taking the cake out of the pan and I buttered, and we didn't have cooking or baking spray, so I actually did the butter and the flour thing in the pan.
It tastes better like that. Sorry.
And it worked. It didn't get stuck to the pan, but there was a tiny little piece that got stuck, and I tasted it like a little squirrel. I ate it, and it tasted pretty darn good. So I'm confident that the cake should turn out well tomorrow. We'll see. I don't know how I'm gonna fit all them candles in there though. It's gonna be a fire hazard. I might be a dead man. So anyway, we shall see. But at the end of the week, we have a really big thing happening at the store. I'm closing my doors at the store on Saturday. One of you out there sent into Google that my store is already closed. They're like, a user has said this store is closed permanently. I'm like, not yet, it's not. I'll mark it when it's closed permanently, but we're still open until Saturday. I'm going to be at the shop all day Friday, 11 to 5, doing the auction preview, so people who are local can come through and have a look at some of the stuff that's going up for sale. And then Saturday, I'm live streaming the auction. And then Sunday, the auction actually invited me down. They have a live auctioneer for the first day, but he wasn't available on the Sunday. So they're doing live auctioneer on the Saturday, which we'll stream. And then on the Sunday, it's just going to be timed, which means it kind of just ends. And that can be kind of bland. So they invited me down, not to auction the stuff off and say sold and all that, but they invited me down to just do color commentary on their live feed. So if you want to...
color commentary?
I don't know. I think so. Like when you're a sportscaster, you're providing commentary. Anyway, it's like that. I'm doing a play-by-play. So if you want to hear the shenanigans there, you're going to have to log into kauctions.ca. Even if you're not planning on bidding, you can log in and just watch me be goofy at a professional auction house. They're going to soon regret my somewhat and occasional childish humor.
It's not like they don't know you. They know you.
They know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go there and just kind of walk through like, oh, this is a cool piece. I picked this up from a lady in her basement. And I don't know. I can just tell stories about where I found this stuff from.
So Gwen said, does he have to clean the kitchen after he makes the cake? You can't even tell that a cake was made. Like he already pre-made the cake today for tomorrow. And you can't tell, other than the clean dishes in the rack by the sink, that a cake was made today.
When I'm cooking, I clean as I go. So if I am like marinating steak, let's say, and I put them on the barbecue, while they're sizzling out there, I will come in and wash the dish and put it away and dry it while stuff is happening. So at the end of the meal, there are no dishes from the cooking process. I'm a very tidy cook. I'd like to think. I would say so, right? I'm pretty tidy. Well, she doesn't think so, but
yeah, you're pretty tidy.
I can never reach those standards.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I do clean up as I go.
It's good to do that anyways, because there's a lot of wasted time when you are waiting for certain things to finish that you can get something done in that time. So you're not having all that. Believe me, it waits for you at the end. So you may as well put it in those little pockets of time.
Part of what we're doing today, which I'm going to jump into for a little bit. Oh, what happened to the John Lennon tapes? I paid the guy $1,000 for them, and they sold for $1,000, and it cost me $250 to ship them to England. So I actually lost money on those. I still plan on giving. I offered him half, so I still have to stand by my word. And even though I already lost money on them, I'll still give the guy half. So they didn't go for as much as I hoped they go for. But I thought, hey, what if they go for $5,000 or $10,000 or something? I wouldn't feel right keeping all that guy's money.
Yeah.
But, you know, I got to put my my wallet where my mouth was. Does that make sense? That sounds really dirty. I don't mean it. Anyway.
I had to make room for my legs. I'm sitting on the part of the table that has the leg. I'm in this tiny little space.
Our friends Bill and Diecast Dave, who joined us here too. Nice to see you, Dave. Nice to see you, Bill. Okay, we are going to flip over now. I'm going to take this off. Look, I have two hands. A lot of you thought that I had a pirate hook for the other hand because you never see it. I'm usually holding the camera. And our friend Todd is on here too, and Matthew, of course. I'm going to take you off the tripod. Woo, woo, and it's going to get a little jiggly for a second there. Oh. Somebody said, did I miss the live chat? No. Adrienne Cote, you're on the live chat right now. How about them apples? Okay, so hopefully this translates well. I'm going to try not to be too shaky with the camera. So we have the final auction is happening, and you can go to Kastner Auctions, kauctions.ca, and look at the bid live page. And it's a 2-day sale. So there's 1 and there's 2 days. That's how 2 days work. There's one after the other, Saturday and Sunday. So you can search by what's on per day, or you can search all of the items all at once. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to all the items all at once. And now if you go through some of the first things here, you see there's some Lego sets. It's a real, I mean, we had a very eclectic store. So there's everything from die cast to toys to historic items. But what I wanted to talk about, there's a couple things. One, you can sort. I'm making you all seasick right now as I scroll super fast. We can sort by bid amount descending. So that'll actually tell us what the highest price things at the auction are so far. Oh, that shot up. Okay, the 1800s American Burnside breech rifle would be a Civil War item. Matthew Fox will probably comment, he's a Civil War historian, that the Burnside rifles were used actively in the Civil War. So that's a Civil War rifle in really nice condition, actually. So that's the highest thing right now is the Civil War rifle. And now the antique watchmaker's cabinet is bumped up. It was at $250 this morning, and it's at $900 now. Followed by the slot machine. And that's actually really cool. I went to Colorado. I did a video there when I went to go visit my sister, and they had slot machines like that going for $3,000 to $4,000 US. And this one does work. Needs a little oiling on the tumblers, but otherwise it works well. And it does pay out occasionally. You get your nickels back. $850, $550 Simpsons. So these are kind of the big items. The little 1895 Banbury cross set, you might be surprised. It's at $550. And these are Canadian prices, by the way. That is that is a valuable set. Like if you look up on Abe books or anything like that, it is a valuable set in that shape. But there's a lot of great deals. Like the Kodak Century camera, that was valued around $2,700, $500. When we start going through now, the majority of the stuff in the sale is actually rather undervalued, you might say. The Film Star slot machine, $375. That's a great price. There's a 1950s Picasso print that's framed very nicely. I think it costs us $400 to get it framed. It's a $350. A lot of really neat stuff. That wonderful massive ship. I mean, like 4 feet long and 3 feet tall. It's big. That ship is only $275, and I think I paid the guy $1,200 for it when he came in the store. So there are still a lot of great deals. There's some things that I'll be making my money back on. There's gonna be some things that I will lose money on. And at the end of the day, the goal from all of this is to really just get a lump of our money back that we've invested. And, you got everything from your 1930s Stella parlor guitar, Jack Campbell original. He's a Disney artist. I don't know what show that was actually from, whether it was a mock-up for Lady and the Tramp or what, because Lady and the Tramp came later. He did work on it, but it's dated 1939 on the back, but it's a Disney piece either way. That is an actual Disney original drawing. Star Wars helmets and all kinds of stuff. But I thought what I'd do, oh, this is cool. I don't know why they didn't show an expanded form. This little embroidery thread cabinet, it folds out, it expands out, and it has multiple drawers. I was using it for pens, for fountain pens at the shop. It is absolutely a stunning piece. So lots of great stuff. There's that Titanic back glass from 1912. The back glass hand-painted original painting. Oh, lots of neat things kind of in the top end. Oh, we had that as a display in our store. It's a bicycle table and really neat I don't know. We had a lot of really cool stuff, and it's just nice to see a lot of this stuff going through there. Yeah, Davey Sitter says, final curiosity sale is an interesting choice since this isn't your final one. I don't know. That's their marketing team came up with that. They said, well, it's the last one from your store. And from now on, it's just going to be stuff going straight to auction. I said, well, I guess that's true.
But it's still through Curiosity.
Yeah, it's still through Curiosity Inc. So,
also, Funky Aardvark had wished us well as well.
Oh, thank you guys.
In all of your future.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually go by bid amount ascending, which means the stuff that has no bids yet. So let's see what has no bids as of yet. A lot of 10 assorted 1970 Star hockey cards. So lots of, there's a Bobby Hall, no bids. These are all like right around, what, $10, something like that. Bob Gibson cards, Dave Keon, a Brett Hall from 89. So we got some sports cards, a vintage boxed Corgi Scania truck, never taken out of the package before. No bids. That means all this stuff that you're seeing right now does not have a single bid. That means that there's only 3 days left. Oh, look, there's me. Apparently I'm up for auction. All of the stuff I'm showing right now,
he can cook.
He can cook. Are you just pawning me off on people right now? I'm trying to see what the coolest thing is. Well, these old 1930s auto repair manuals are really cool. In fact, my friend Matt over at Strong's Garage could probably use some of that stuff if he doesn't have them already. Some comic books, lots of vintage toys. Autographs. So Norman Jewison, Sir Harry Lauder, Cyrus Eaton, who started the Eaton's department store. If you want a letter from the 4th Earl of Minto, who I think was also one of Canada's first Governor Generals. I mean, there's a lot of historic stuff that people have not bid on quite yet. So I think that if you go through and look at all the things that don't have any bids, there's actually a lot of really cool stuff with no bids. Old 1940s and 50s sporting books, tin motorcycles in the box. There's a clown riding a motorcycle right there in its original box. And again, none of this stuff has bids. A lot of old fountain pens and collector pens. I mean, for the $5 or $10, or I guess $10, I think is what the starting bid is. All of this stuff has no bids right now. And there's pages and pages and pages of things that you can actually get for next to nothing right now. I laugh as I say that. And I'm like, please go check it out. All these old dinky toys. You know, really, really cool stuff. Oh, Jim Jackson says, happy birthday, Melissa.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Jim. We much appreciate the messages from Milady. You're Milady, if you didn't know that.
No, he's Jim.
No, not Jim. You. So anyway, there's an awful lot of stuff. There's puzzles, there's games. These are all brand new puzzles, by the way. I think the retail on these was, I think $35 Canadian or $39 Canadian each, somewhere around there for a 1,000-piece puzzle. You might be able to get one for $10. Lots of great designs. What I loved about these puzzles is that they hired really neat artists to do these. Oh yeah, the big friction tin Buick. Nobody's bid on that yet? That thing's big. It's like over a foot long. Like it's a big toy. It's really neat.
Oops.
The Wolseley advertising sign. That's pretty darn nifty. Part of me wishes I would have hung on to a couple of these things to hang up in my garage, but whatever. Nice trio stereo equalizer. No bids, $10. So right now, yeah, we're just sorting through and seeing all the stuff that you could get for next to nothing. Oh, here's a bargain right there. This tin Japanese Mercedes, and actually this clockwork toy, somebody's painted it, but that's a good piece. Yeah, $10, no bid. Same thing with this tin Mercedes. That is probably, like, if you look on eBay, probably going to be well over $100 for the Mercedes battery-operated tin plate toy. This is a 1940s, probably early 50s. It's big. It's in the style of a of a tether car, but it's a pump action car where you actually pump it up with air and let it loose. It's quite large. It's probably about 14 inches long or so. The pump action is a little tricky on it, but it's a really cool Indianapolis style car that looks really neat. And frankly, for $10, it's hard sometimes to look at all the cool stuff. All these Peter B. Kine and Stuart Edward Wright books, or Stuart Edward White Western books. If you look online, they can be hundreds of dollars each for these early Western themed sort of exploration books, and they're up for $10 a piece. Old pocket cameras. Anyway, all of this stuff. It fell. I was so intensely scrolling that I dropped my little iPad that we're scrolling on.
It's balancing on the cup coasters.
The Universal, the movie Monster Dioramas sold a while ago. If somebody's asking about that, I see Michael is asking. Randy says, if something's going to go for next to nothing or way too low, would you think about buying it from your own auction? I can't. I cannot buy it from my own auction. That is called shill bidding, and it's not. It's highly frowned upon. So I just have to sit back and, try not to think too much about the stuff that's going too low and try and think about how things are going to balance themselves off. There's vintage costume jewelry up for grabs. And again, every single thing that I'm showing right now has absolutely zero bids on it. And you can just sort by bid amount ascending. And you can find all of these lots with the toys and jewelry and all sorts of stuff. And then we start getting into the things that have bids at $10. So there's probably about 300 items without bids right now. And so if you're looking at the sale or looking at this right now, I would say there's a good opportunity. And I know many of you at home or many of you locally in Edmonton are resellers. And there are people who have actually made quite a good profit off of buying stuff from our sales and reselling it, because they are more patient than I am, and they are willing to sit there and sell these lots of like Beatles cards and things like that individually and get top dollar for it. Where I am more interested in moving mass quantity. So let's scroll down. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit more. There's a few items in here that are quite historic. I've been trying to send updates to our Facebook page so people have an idea about the sort of things that are going up for grabs. Many of these items are just like, in the $10 sort of range. If you're into collecting dinky toys and corgi toys, we have a lot of variety there, a lot of old Matchbox and things of that nature. So lots of fun stuff. I was am and have always been a big fan of, old toys like that in the box and have a lot of fun with it. There is also a bunch of comic books in this sale. Okay, pardon me while I scroll. Anyway, there's an awful lot of stuff. That's the most generic. I'm gonna have to get better with my banter if I'm doing this actually for the auction house. What's coming up for sale? Oh, there's a bunch of stuff. That's a really cool little piece. The Sew Handy, that's a tiny little kid sewing machine that actually works. It has the original box, the instruction manual, the clamp, and a little Singer sewing can. Just the cutest little thing. Big original Easy Rider poster. Oh, this is neat. That's the Philco Predicta TV with the stand, and it does work. It's in really nice shape. That's like your George Jetson kind of TV right there. Every time I look through the top 100 items, I'm like, man, I had some good stuff in this store, like truly. And I'll continue to find good stuff. In fact, I have boxes of things that I had just taken down over the last couple of days to auction for a future sale in June. So as somebody was saying, this is not going to be my last sale. It's just the last sale from our brick and mortar store. Pete Rose autographed baseball. And what it says on it, this is really cool. It says, "I'm sorry I bet on baseball, Pete Rose." That is like the best thing you could get Pete Rose, or the worst thing, I guess, you could get him to write on a baseball, but that's pretty cool. Let's see. Somebody was asking a question. Is there anything in here that you regret putting through auction that you would rather keep at your house? Maybe the Lego, because I had those on display at my own house. There's a few little things that I was like, man, that's pretty cool. But truly, I already have so much stuff that I don't want to bring to the house. Like, we don't want to have a whole bunch of clutter. In fact, I don't want to bring really much of anything to the house other than cars. So no, I won't regret. It's all, my whole purpose of buying this stuff in the first place was to find a new home for it and get it to the right person. Here's a couple things as I'm scrolling through. This is, I got this from a museum, and I did an episode on it where I went to visit a fellow in town who had a military museum. These came out of a private collection in Lethbridge, Alberta originally, and they were made by, it's a ship of the Bismarck. I talked about this before, but it was made by a guy who survived the sinking of the Bismarck, and then he gets hauled over to England and put in a camp there, and then he gets hauled to Canada and put in a camp here. And what does he do with his free time? He builds a little miniature of his ship that got sunk, and there it is. And we had it priced at, I think, several $1,000s because it's a museum-worthy piece. It's a piece of history. It's POW art. It's, falls into that almost trench art kind of category. What's it at? $100 for a authentic World War II German POW carved Bismarck. Anyway, that and this Hopkin and Allen Northwest Mounted Police. Actually, it's Clinton, British Columbia, so it would have been a Clinton police officer's. That's an actual pistol that's been decommissioned. That's his handcuffs, his badge, and his holster, shadow box mounted by the family of the fellow that was the officer. And it's a beautiful presentation set. There should at least be another zero added on the end of that thing. It would probably date to the 1920 or 22. I think it was supposed to say 1900s, I think, but it's probably more like from the teens or 20s. Either way, it's a really cool piece. It's not a cap gun. It's not a toy gun. It's a real pistol. So when you see this thing, that's not some kid's toy set. That's all real police officer issued stuff. Of course, the gun's decommissioned, so you don't need to have, otherwise that'd be a restricted weapon. But because it's decommissioned, anybody can own it. You don't have to worry about that. These antique music player rolls, sterling silver shaving cups, beautiful modern art that we got out of that collection where the Picasso vase came from. Just stuff upon stuff. I mean, boy, oh boy, you want to go through, this is there are things that I think are really, really cool that are a little undervalued. Where else are you going to find an original photograph of Admiral Nelson's ship, the HMS Victory? Where are you going to find that? It's the thing is dry docked in a museum now, and there is a picture of it on the water. It's just so neat in the original frame and everything. There's the original World War I Bond poster. That's big. Like that is probably 4 feet tall by 3 feet wide. This was part of a museum as well, the same museum where that Bismarck ship came from. That was part of the same set. That is a really nice early poster. It's probably worth about $800 to $1,200, $90. So if you are a collector watching this at home, and if you're interested in history or just want to get a great deal, if I wasn't in the midst of selling this stuff myself, I would be bidding on stuff like I was playing hot potato. I'd be throwing bids all over the place because there's so much cool stuff. You know, Art Nouveau incense burner, which I used actually. We used to use that at the store. Anne Murray autographed show contract, and I think was it on the Merv Griffin show or something like that? Oh, the Glenn Campbell show. And it's signed by Anne Murray. Just a lot of really neat things. Original artwork. That's an original oil on board painting of fighter jets. And I feel like it almost looks like the type of artwork they would have used on a model kit box. I almost wonder if that's what it was for, like a mock-up for that. Duck decoys, time machines, Cecil B. DeMille autographed check, I guess signed check. I heard a story once that said that celebrities would sometimes send a check to pay for things because they thought that if their celebrity was big enough, the guy might not cash the check because he wanted to keep the signature. I wonder if that's what happened there. I think that one's been cashed though. There's a little fortune teller machine. I don't have, oh, there we go. Sorry, I had a bit of a glare there. I don't have the Zoltar anymore, but we do have that. Parking meters, autographed Muhammad Ali. You can kind of see his signature right, well, not so great in that picture. Maybe I can zoom in on it a little bit more. If I zoom in, you can see, whoops, right there, Muhammad Ali. It's signed by him. The family met him in the 1980s when he came to Edmonton for a charity boxing match with Dave Semenko, who is sort of a bruiser on the Edmonton Oilers, and they got him to sign that. The dad was actually part of the boxing commission here. Oh yeah, the 80s Ecto-1 Ghostbuster toy with the original box. There is no end to the super cool stuff going through this sale. So I encourage you to go on to Kastner Auctions, search the sale, and you can basically just flip through and look. There's a search bar. You can, like if you're looking for comics, let's just see what comes up. Because I have actually thousands of comic books going through this sale right now. So you can see large boxes full, like the big white box is full of comics, and that one's all boarded and backed. $70 for a whole box. So there's probably like 100 comics in there. And they do go back to, 40-cent issues to the 70s. There are definitely some older issues in there. So I know that there's going to be a lot of good finds in there. Anyway, search for the stuff you're interested in. Check it out. I'm going to flip the camera back pretty soon here. There we go. And we'll just chat with you guys for a little while longer. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm nervous and excited about the auction sale at the same time. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to not own that much stuff personally. I am nervous about what's going to go for because I do, I'm hoping it's going to be a good sale because I got stuff I want to pay down and pay off because of the crazy things that we're doing right now. But we'll see. It's not the first time that I've done one of these sales. Dave is optimistic. He says that the sale will do super well. And somebody said, are there trains in the auction? Yes, there's lots of toy trains in the auction. Just go on and search for trains and they'll pop up. There's individual train sets, there's complete train sets, there's train accessories, there's dozens and dozens of toy trains up there right now. So you should check it out. Let's see, when you get to the new just trying to read some of the comments here.
Well, you get a patrol. I read car twice and I didn't understand. Patrol cat.
Oh, they're wondering if we'll get a mouse to keep track of mice.
No. What?
Yeah, it's a patrol
cat. You just said a mouse to keep track of mice.
No, cat to keep track of the mice. But we don't need that.
We don't need that because Chewy is a crazy mouser.
That's what they're bred for.
Oh my goodness. That cute little ball of fluff is a mouse killer. It's horrible. I mean, we don't have any mice or anything in our house because of that, but...
A lot of people look at Yorkies and think, oh, it's this tiny little dog that's just like, put it in your purse and carry it around or whatever. Yorkies were actually bred to kill rats, and they're small so they can fit inside of rat holes and whatever and get into where a bigger dog couldn't. and they are excellent mousers. Our dog never had exposure to mice before in its life. When we had a couple mice start to think about making a nest under our deck.
Because I feed the birds on top of the deck. I thought that one through.
Yeah, Melissa feeds the birds out there, and so there's lots of
I
seeds.
feed the mice too. They're all happy.
Anyway, we ended up feeding Chewy as a result. I don't think he ate them, but he definitely got rid of the.
No, I don't think he ate them either. I think he just took care of them. Ugh.
But he was intense about it. Like there is something triggered in his cute little dog brain. He looks like a stuffed animal.
It's not like a cat. It's not like a cat at all. That mouse didn't suffer. Ugh, I don't want to think about it.
So no, we don't have to worry about that because Chewy is an excellent mouser. Thankfully, he's actually a very handy dog to have around on an acreage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, he did not leave a little mouse carcass on our doorstep. He just what I don't know how we're gonna get on this topic now.
Cats do that, and I think some dogs do that, where they leave you a present, and you're like, thanks.
No, it's like he was it's like Chewy went on the shopping channel and he was given a shopping cart and they're like, fill up your basket. You've got 3 minutes to fill everything. He's like, oh! He just ran around and killed everything he could get his little jaws on, and then he was just happy. And so he left like a trail. It was like
our dirty secret, you guys.
If it was slow motion, it would look like Chewy was walking through like a Civil War battlefield or something in the aftermath. You're like, what happened here? He looks cute to us. It's hard to imagine that the dog looks cute to us, but to mice, it's a terrifying event.
No.
I wonder if the mouse is ever like, oh, is that one of us? And then instantly it's like, nope. Yeah. So no, we don't have to worry about mice or anything like that, and we don't have rats in Alberta, so. I think we're pretty well safe, but we do have to worry about Chewy getting carried off by other predators. It's like Wild Kingdom out in the country. We've got hawks that circle around our yard, and there's owls, and Chewy looks like a giant mouse. So, yeah. The circle of life.
Oh my goodness.
So we're gonna get one of those special little coats. It's gonna be ridiculous.
It's special.
He's gonna look like a punk rock dog. It's got like spikes on it, right?
It's one of those, like, if you guys, I think it's called a raptor vest for dogs. So it's basically just like a normal harness for dogs, but it's made out of kind of like a hard plastic. But it has Velcro strips on it, so you can put spikes on there, or these long plastic, almost like porcupine quills sticking off. Oh, he's never gonna forgive me. But it keeps the coyotes from eating him, and the anything raptor-like from piercing him. So
somebody was asking if there's any guitars or banjos and stuff in the sale. Yes, there's plenty of them. They said when they search guitar, doesn't come up. You have to make sure that you've selected all items. I'll show you again. So it's a 2-day sale, boop, boop, like that. And it might not be in the first sale or the second sale, so you have to actually search all items, and it'll tell you what day it's going to come up at. But yes, there are multiple. A beautiful, I don't know why I felt like doing that. It's a Mia Luigi. Beautiful. It's a beautiful. There's a lot of nice guitars going up for sale.
Chewy the Terror, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, eagles and owls will catch up little dogs, you're right. And coyotes can jump extremely high. They can run up fences, so even like 17 feet, I think we read. They run up the fences and get over. So ours is only 5 feet. That is an easy little hop, skip, and a jump for a coyote. So
somebody was asking about all the wristwatches and things like that. The wristwatches aren't being priced individually. In fact, if you saw one of the last episodes I put up when I did an unboxing from some estate stuff and I found all those wristwatches, it was actually a box that I had sitting in the garage from an estate that I purchased. All those watches, except for a couple, I think the Longines and the Tissot, I'm not putting through auction, but all the rest are going through auction in June. We have another big auction sale happening later in June from basically stuff that couldn't make it in this sale. We were already at a 2-day sale and I still had a bunch of stuff left over. So instead of doing a 3-day sale, we're going to clean up the store, see what's left over, sell the rest, and then I held back some cool stuff to put through the next sale. So for those of you trying to find some things that aren't at this sale, might be at the next one. But the majority of the stuff and the majority of the really good stuff is at this sale coming up this weekend. Let's see. Somebody said the pool was a surprise in our backyard.
I know, I thought you weren't going to address that, so I just didn't mention it.
No. It was partially finished when we bought the property, so it wasn't actually completed. So we did a lot of the completion work last summer and got it working and got it functioning and poured a pad around it and stuff.
It was a surprise for us too, because we were just looking for a property and we actually almost didn't buy it because of that, because it was...
Well, and we couldn't... we had trouble with insurance.
Because you have to try to insure a big hole in your ground and a field. So
hello to Storage Auction Pirate. Welcome to you. He says howdy y'all.
But that was a great surprise in the end. I'm glad we ended up jumping on the property in the end. We did find somebody to insure us, and we got to enjoy it.
Yeah, we had to put a fence up around the property.
Yeah.
The one thing I did want to say about the pool in the backyard, because a lot of people were saying, well, you're going to have to put a fence up around the pool itself. Our pool has a very specialized cover on it, which you can actually walk on. It'll hold. They said it'll hold like 800 pounds. Yeah. So if a kid ended up going over by the pool and fell onto the tarp, it's so secure. I walk on it regularly. It's intended to be walked on, so it's safe and secure in our yard, so we don't have concerns about. And we don't
leave the pool open because I don't want to clean that pool forever, and so as soon as we're done, plus it keeps the heat in when you heating the only pool expense I've ever experienced in my life is the pool that I had to blow up by my mouth and put the hose in. So having a pool is a whole expense that if anybody here has a pool, you know.
Well, especially in a colder climate. But we still have about 4.
But that cover keeps the heat in, so we don't have to heat it as much. Like, it's pretty warm. It stays warm.
It stays nice and warm.
So, yeah. And we have our entire lot is fenced.
And they said that this is supposed to be a hotter than usual summer, so I think we'll be very thankful to have air conditioning at the new house and a swimming pool to go cool off in.
I've never had air conditioning before, so I mean, I had air conditioning in the form of opening my window and having a cross breeze.
Mike is asking how the driveway is going. I'm trying to catch your comments as you're coming out. 2 things. Guitar Missy said, are they accepting bids already? Yes, you can go bid right now. In fact, I encourage you to go online and bid. And for Mike, who was asking about the driveway at the house, we got quotes for it. As you can imagine, asphalt is kind of pricey. So that is another reason why we're hoping that the sale goes well. You know, we can put some of the money towards getting some of that stuff done. But that will be scheduled for early June. We should be taking possession of the house right around mid-May. So we'll have a couple weeks of driving on mud and on our dirty front yard, I guess, while we wait for the driveway to get scraped back and installed. So everything is really, there's a lot of coordination going on between the contractor and myself to get the trades in, and there's some extra things that we're getting done, like the epoxy garage floor. Decided to go ahead and do that because if I don't do it now, I know I'll never get it done because that garage is going to fill up and be full probably forever. So we're going to get it done now. So I'm having to coordinate some of that stuff separately from the contractor and then make sure he can access it. Anyway, lucky for me, I like the logistics of it all, and it's fun for me to organize and do all this stuff. But it is an awful lot because we're closing the store. We've got the auction sales going on. We've got actually another record auction sale happening middle of May, and then another auction happening in June. So I have been a busy guy. I've not been at the store a whole lot this past week. Bill's been there. But I have been keeping myself very busy doing other stuff. And I imagine that's what my life's going to be like. A lot of you are saying, well, what are you going to do now that you're retired and you won't have the store? It's like, guys, I'm super busy without the store anyway.
You were busier without the store before this.
That's true. And I still am getting a lot of leads and a lot of phone calls to go buy estates even without the store. I'm just telling people what it is. I'm just not going to have a storefront. We're buying and selling direct either through auction or on online.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still going well, and we're finding lots of cool stuff. As you see in the next little while, there's more videos coming out of me doing unboxings. So the channel will continue and the store will continue as an online presence.
What happened with the old pictures, like the black and white photos, the vintage ones, in the drawer?
Black and white pictures in the drawer?
You know that thing full of like the secret drawers that you can look in and find
I sold them all to an antique dealer.
That's what happened.
Somebody
asked where they were.
My friend Dwayne actually bought the contents of everything in those drawers except for the musical cobs. I had extra music reels.
Oh yeah.
Because I thought maybe I kept back one of the really cool looking music boxes.
Did you keep it actually back?
Because I thought you liked it.
Yeah, they're awesome, you guys.
There's some at this auction right now.
So cool. I think we were going through and I didn't even know we had them. Those, I don't even know how to explain it, but they're so cool.
They are cool. And so I thought it would be nice for us to keep one maybe for the house and have a bunch of different...
Well, that was a good surprise. I'm glad it's that and not Zoltar.
Yeah. Oh, don't bring up Zoltar.
I know. Oh my goodness.
Because he looks like a human, it's like I sold a human being. I'm going to get in trouble for human trafficking.
I have to hear that I see you over there.
Somebody said, where's Zoltar going? And I said, no, it's the guy bottom that had his lower half. His Zoltar is just an upper torso, but I said the lower half of Zoltar, when it's coin operated, does a whole different thing. I can't believe I just said that on live feed, but I did.
Oh my gosh, I was reading comments.
What?
I don't have to
I meant he dances.
the comments, you guys.
I meant it does a little Irish jig. What were you thinking? Oh, yeah.
See?
Anyway.
Laura,
Yeah.
wow. Wowie wow wow.
Yeah. So anyway, Zoltar did go to a new home. I don't know. That was one of those things where I was worried about what he would go for at auction, you know, because he was an expensive piece to pick up. But there are enough other cool things going through the sale, pinball machines and stuff that, you know, I look at it and I go, man, there's an awful lot of good stuff sitting in that sale. So let's hope that there's, you know, some robust bidding on the final couple days here.
Tornado T says Flames versus Oilers. What do you think, Alex? The most controversial thing you can bring up in Alberta.
You know what's funny is that I'm not a sports guy. I played baseball for many, many years, but I played baseball. I didn't watch it. I think there's nothing more, don't take this the wrong way, there's nothing more boring for me than watching somebody else do their job. And that's their job, is to try and get the puck in the net, or for the guy to hit a home run or get in.
But you guys, you don't stop watching us do our job.
Oh, true. And we lose all our subscribers in one go. No, but I just can't sit through a sports game. I don't know.
Either.
I just feel like if I'm watching a hockey game, I feel like I should be out there. Well, actually not playing. But if I'm watching baseball, I feel like I should be out there playing. If I watch like a TV show like American Pickers, it just makes me feel like, man, I shouldn't be watching this. I should be out there doing something. I should be out there trying to find stuff.
I'm not a fan of sports at all either. It doesn't make. I'm not a fan. I mean, it's okay if you go to a live game, but I think I've been to like 2.
But
I'd rather be doing like stuff.
I do enjoy watching like Top Gear when it was Jeremy Clarkson and the shenanigans they got into and stuff like that. So I do like car stuff, but I don't watch racing. But I like old car stuff. So I'll watch shows where a guy is going and like pulling an old car out of a barn, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool car. And then it makes me want to go out and do the same thing. And I guess that's why you guys watch my channel, because I go and do that kind of stuff too. Oh, I have, yeah, I'll have some updates for you guys soon in terms of what's happening there with the old car collection. But that's to be announced in a future episode. You'll see. Boy, Joe has asked, I think, several times what happened to the John Lennon tapes. If you go back and watch this over, you'll probably hear it. But I'll tell you again, they sold for less than what I paid for them. I lost money, and now I'm going to have to split the money with the guy, because that's what I said I was going to do. He's actually a very nice guy. Consider him a friend, actually. That's why when I got them, I'm like, and I realized maybe they might be worth more. That's why I said, you know what, I'll just give them half, because I have no idea what they're worth. Turns out I paid exactly what they were worth. And so there isn't really any profit in that at all. But when you say you're going to do something, you got to do it. So once they haven't paid me yet, so when they do, I'll end up giving them a call and giving them half. So there you go.
Is the large tin carousel that was sitting on top of the box in your store up for auction?
It's not tin, actually. It's made by the Corgi Toy Company, which did like the James Bond car and Batmobile, the same Corgi toys that did that. It is for sale. I didn't put it in the auction though, because they sell for like $400 or $500 on eBay. There's a few things like that where I thought I will probably get better money for something like that out of eBay. When you rotate it, the horses all are mechanized and go up and down individually. It's quite a neat little mechanical marvel. So it will likely go, I do have an eBay account that I rarely use, but I sometimes use it for stuff like that, where you gotta put a price on it and wait for the right person to come along.
Your email is curiosityedmonton@gmail.com, right?
You're right. It is.
Look at me go. So once we have the store closed, if people want to be able to contact you, is it best just to reach out to curiosityedmonton@gmail.com?
Yes, for those of you that want to send me an email, I won't have the store phone number anymore, and I know some of you used to like to call to chat. Unfortunately, that won't be an option right now. But you can email us. That's the best way to get in touch with us. Also, I will be getting a P.O. box. I'm on a waiting list. As soon as I have a P.O. box, because sometimes you folks like to send stuff, which is much appreciated, and I know I don't have a chance to thank you all as often as I'd like to, but it's always a nice surprise to see something that's come from one of you at home. Once we have our P.O. box set up, we will let you know as well. But I'm just waiting. I'm on, like I said, I'm on the waiting list. As soon as I get one buttoned down, which will hopefully be end of this week or next week, I'll let you guys know. Let's see. Is your painting behind us going to the new house? It is. I don't know where it's going to go.
Hey, Alexander, look at my response. I believe so, but I'm not sure where it's going yet.
Oh, that's what you said?
Yeah,
We are like a hive mind, aren't we?
it's true. Except for I wouldn't have thought the Zoltar thing to say out loud.
No, you would have thought it. You just wouldn't have said it.
Maybe. We'll see.
I don't know.
You know me, I edit everything that I say.
She looks all cute and innocent, but folks, let me tell you.
What? Tell them what?
That you are cute and innocent.
That's right.
Yeah. Dave, I am not in the store on Saturday. I will be in the store on Friday, though. Saturday, I won't be at the store because I will be live streaming the auction sale, so I won't be able to be at the shop. But Bill will be there 11 to 5, and that's our last official day of business at the store location. I guess I should give you guys some updates on what's happening with the store. You guys up for that if I talk about that a little bit? About what's happening with the store?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all it took. I won't get into too many details about it, but for many reasons, we felt it'd be better for us and for our tenants to stay on for the time being as the owners of our building. What that means is that our tenants are already basically getting stuff ready for the ice cream parlor because they want to open in summer. And like I said before, the owners there, Romeo and Lily, are lovely people. He's Italian. She's not. He's Italian. He has a handlebar mustache and he makes his ice cream from scratch in blast chillers and hand custom flavors things. It is an experience. It's not just going to be scooping it out of a bucket. Here's your cone, kid. Every other ice cream cone will seem blasé now after you visit Romeo and Lily's ice cream parlor, which will be called Twice Cream.
Ooh.
That's the name of the store, Twice Cream. Maybe that's because you'll like it so much you go back for another one.
That would be smart.
Yeah.
All I know is that he said he might need some testers to make sure that everything is perfect, and he asked if we would critique and I was like, what? Yes.
Yeah. So they will be opening up their ice cream parlor in summertime, and the other side, which is the antique store side, the heart of the business, the original building that we bought, will likely become a coffee shop. We are in talks with some very, very nice people right now who are supporting a very, very good cause and want to open up an ice cream parlor, or not an ice cream parlor. Yeah, there's going to be 2 ice cream parlors. Didn't tell the other guys that. Yep. They want to open up a coffee shop and still sell candy to the neighborhood and still be a presence in the area. So for all the kids that have been coming into my store that were very disappointed to hear we were closing, don't worry, it's only going to get better for you youngsters because you're going to have ice cream, you're going to have candy, your parents are going to have coffee and snacks and stuff. It's going to be great. So I think you're going to have a lot of fun. So we are just in the midst of working out. One lease is signed, we're working on the other. We'll retain the building and they definitely want to retain the character of the architecture, which is why Jim, I don't know if Jim Gerlinski's on right now. Jim is a regular on our channel. He's a blacksmith in Saskatchewan. He looks like a blacksmith. He's got the big bushy Santa beard, the coveralls. He's an excellent human being. I have to say, Jim is the one who came out to the Potter's house when I was missing a vent when our renters took off with one of our vents, or I don't know what they did with it. It's gone anyway. When one of the vents was missing from the house, he actually had one and he brought it out to me. Jim is there right now. Jim, you lovely man, you.
Yes, he is, he said.
Jim, I don't have a chance to really tell people how much I appreciate them publicly as much, but I do appreciate many of you are just lovely human beings. A lot of you are.
Most of you are.
I would say like the good majority of people are.
Yeah.
But Jim, I appreciate that you came all the way up to the Potter's house and brought me that vent, and it was just in time. My friend Jason and his wife Nina came out and they helped me and we painted it. We got it in place and really brought the house back together. But Jim, I commissioned him about a year ago, I would say, to do some wrought iron gates for the front of the store because we had wanted to make the store nice and secure with all the cool stuff we had there. We didn't want to get broken into. So I put sort of a expandable gate, which did the trick. Alan, I will answer your question in a second. I will answer Alan, I promise. I'll come back to you. I see him asking several times. I didn't think that the rolling gate or the modern gate we had on there made it look like a liquor store. I was like, it's not very classy. People actually do go to our building and they put their old car in front of it and they take like photos. It's a backdrop. And that was our plan all along, is that if we're going to have a building, we want to make it the cutest building possible so people advertise for us. And boy, did it work like a darn.
He said, I got a ladder and a Cinnabon out of the deal.
Yeah, there you go. So Jim has been working on antique, proper wrought iron gates for this front of the store. When I thought the building was selling, I told him to hold off on it because I didn't know what was happening. When we decided to retain ownership of the building, I said, Jim, let's get her done. And he's getting her done. And I think in the next month or so, we'll probably have him come out and do the install, which we'll do a video on.
Oh, yeah.
And show you how it looks. So I will be so happy that whether the store is open or closed, it will look heritage and cutesy pootsy. That's right. I said cutesy pootsy. I don't know how you would spell the pootsy part. P-O-O-T-S-I.
Oh, I knew he would try. You know what I didn't realize? The paintings on the side of our building, the Coke cap. Bob, our friend Bob, is on here as well. I don't know what his handle is now, Bob. Is it Bob the Bottle Man? Anyways, he did a video, or it might be Bob from Edmonton. He did a video where he kind of did the close-ups of the picture or the paintings that Dave did for us on the side. And what does the tiny little printing say? It says something like, this is so tiny, nobody's ever going to read it.
Yeah. There's the little, Bob's there. Yeah.
I didn't even know that was on there. And it's our store. My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bob.
Sign painter,
Bob from Edmonton. Look, you got it all in there. I almost got it.
Our sign painter, Dave, has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Wonderful person. I'm really excited to. I hope I'll have a chance to work with him again. Maybe
me
do a
too.
mural or something like that. Yeah, it says the demonic page boy on it. Alan was asking a question over and over and over and over and over again, so he's really excited to know. He said, "Is it time to get out of stocks and into Matchbox and Hot Wheels?" I don't know. It depends on what you like, I guess. I have never. Here's a few things you need to know about me. I don't gamble at casinos. I don't buy lottery tickets, and I don't buy stocks and bonds. What I do believe in are assets that can become liquid if you need them to in a hurry. Occasionally I hear advice from people. I read a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I can't remember the guy's name, the author of that. Maybe somebody watching will know.
Most people know that book.
Yeah, and it was put out years ago. And the fellow that wrote it was talking about basically the different behaviors of people who are wanting to invest and how you can become successful with your investments. But the gist of the things that I believe in are that a whole bunch of money in the bank doesn't earn you very much interest. And so having money in assets can actually grow faster than money in a basic savings account, essentially. It's like 0.05% interest or something like that, where it's very difficult to earn any kind of interest in the bank. And so what we found is that the best investments we've had have been, surprisingly, classic cars, properties. We've always done very well with our properties. I don't think we've ever, other than the Potter's house, which was
you have to
took a while.
Be careful with properties. Like, you need to buy at the right time and know what you're doing.
Yeah, but we firmly believe that having an investment in real estate is a good idea.
Yeah.
So when we were looking at if the store did sell, we weren't wanting to just retire. We wanted to take the money from the store and invest it in some other sort of revenue property or building. I think Warren Buffett said, never invest your money into something that can only achieve its value upon the sale of that asset. Meaning that if you buy something worth $10 and you want to sell it, you want your $10 back, you have to sell it. That's not a great investment. But if you invest in like a commercial building or a revenue property, you buy it for, let's say, $100,000 and you can rent it out and get that money back every 5 or 10 years. It pays for itself over and over again. Mm-hmm. So there's certain things that we're trying to do to basically set our family up for success for the future, to make sure that there's this pipeline that comes through so that we can work smart and not necessarily hard. And I can tell you that the last 5 or 6 years, I've worked very, very hard and then tried to invest whatever has come of that into things that will hopefully make our lives a little bit easier down the road. So somebody said, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, learning what an asset is, either making money or going up in value. Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that just because you own something, it's an asset. But say for if you buy a house and you have a mortgage on it, it's actually a liability. It's not an asset. It's not an asset until you own it. So. And
Alan says, thank you so much. Alan's very excited about the investment side of it. I would say that there is no way. I was thinking about this the other day, and this is going to sound crazy. And if I wouldn't have quit my job, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now. If I wouldn't have walked away from an excellent job 6 years ago and gone into a crazy amount of debt with the encouragement of my wife, if I wouldn't have done that, if I would have had the YouTube channel then, and a lot of people were like freaking out when I said I was selling the store, but that was the least crazy decision I've made in my life. The first one, I left being in the film. I had a really good job in the film industry. I'd worked my way up to being a location manager and producer, which is pretty high up. And I walked away from that so that I could be more available to my family. When we closed our store, we ended up opening a toy store, and when we ended up shuttering that, I went back to work in retail. Worked my way up to becoming a district manager, managing 26 or 28 stores at one time. I moved down to working at an Apple store as a senior manager because, again, I was traveling a lot. Abigail had just been born, and I wanted to be home with my family. I've never once regretted those decisions. And when it came time for me to leave Apple, you guys would have thought the worst of me then. You have 3 young kids. You have 17 years left on your mortgage, and you're going to quit your job and go into, it was like $30,000-$40,000 debt. Plus I had to sell, I had a nice Porsche convertible at the time. I sold everything that I had that was worth any kind of money, and I invested it in my business. And there was many times, and maybe this is boring to some of you guys, but there's many times where I thought I was going to go belly up. There's many times where I thought this dream I had might not work, and it might not happen. And there was a few moments where I was sitting there and it was dead at the store, and I was thinking I was going to go bankrupt, and I thought I can either sit here and I can complain about my situation, or I can do something about it. And it's the doing something about it that made it so that we could pay off our commercial space and buy the better one and buy another commercial building and then grow our business. It was that if you're sitting in if you own a business right now, a brick and mortar, and it's quiet, are you going to sit there on your hands waiting for customers to come in, or are you going to do something about it? And I started the YouTube channel, and I've told the story before, but I started the YouTube channel because I was getting desperate. I was signing up to be an Uber driver, but my vehicle was too old. I had a 1999 beaten up Honda Odyssey minivan. If you look back 6 years ago at my videos, anything nice I had before then, I sold to fund the business and the buying of the commercial space. But I knew that the better investment was to own my own space rather than pay rent. And so it was worth the risk to me. And I knew it was better for me to buy my merchandise outright rather than to do it on consignment, so that I had the flexibility to trade, to swap, to sell, to lower the price, to blow it out at auction, to change up my inventory if I had to. If you're saddled into a consignment situation, your store becomes stale, in my opinion. So I knew that I was following the right path. And I had this little voice in the back of my head when I signed up to be an Uber driver and to deliver Uber food for Uber Eats. And my car was like, I was like, man, I can't be an Uber driver because the car is too old, and I don't know how much money I'm going to make, driving around because of the gas. A voice in the back of my head said to me, you know what, just keep going. Someday you'll look back at this and you go, you made the right decision to stick with this business. And but I knew it wasn't going to happen without any kind of hard work. And so we started the YouTube channel primarily so I could put little advertisements up on Facebook. I didn't have a way of really editing and publishing a video direct to Facebook at that time. So we started the YouTube videos to try and advertise that we had the business, which is always funny to me now, because some people will say, I can't believe you're telling us you're doing an auction sale again. We're here for entertainment, not to buy things. I'm like, that's the whole point of this channel.
You're like, we have a store.
We're a store. Like, the whole reason this channel exists is because I needed a way to let people know about the things we had for sale.
But also when Alexander would go on to go and get he always has like some crazy adventure. And I said, it's almost like you're living a TV show. We should be sharing this with people. And I said, it's actually interesting. It's not just going to a store, buying something and bringing it home. And one of the things that I was going to go off of what you were saying before is that I think it's very important to realize that if you are in a position where the same thing is happening over and over, it really stands true that if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same result. So until you start doing something different and trying a new way, you're not going to see any difference, because why would you?
Probably the tipping point for me, probably a few years ago, somebody says, is there a new intro coming? Maybe down the road, but I shortened up the intro a bit to say that it doesn't say that we own an antique store in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada anymore. I got rid of that part, and I just say I buy and sell antiques because it's all true.
Yeah.
There's two major tipping points. One is when we had people approaching us to pay for advertising on our YouTube channel, where they would say, you know, we'd like to place an ad, or we'd like you to, you know, talk about our product and we'll pay you. And at the same time, I was having phone calls from people like from the Yellow Pages. Like, I'm like, you guys even still exist anymore? I was like, I didn't even know Yellow Pages are still a thing. Or, you know, like these like magazines that they put in hotels and stuff. And they'd be like, you know, for $1,000, you can put an ad in our thing. And I'm like, I actually get paid to advertise for other people now. So I never ever paid for advertising ever again after that. I did it once, never saw a return on it. I had one person come in from a paid ad. I think I paid $1,000 to have somebody come in and spend $5. And I thought, I'm never going to do that again. With social media, with you can be creative, you can create your content, you can do your own commercials. Basically, there was no need to pay for advertising. That was the first tipping point. And the second tipping point is when YouTube became its own job. And that is kind of what led me, I'd say a few years ago, where I had to decide whether I wanted to invest my time trying to make a few bucks an item at the store, or whether I wanted to work with advertisers and work with YouTube and try and make this a career as well. And I thought that if I could do both, well, then I'd have the best of both worlds. I'd have the content for YouTube and I'd have the store. But I'll be honest, having two full-time jobs is what it's turned out to being, has been awfully, awfully busy. And so I still want to have the flexibility of buying, but on my own time. I don't want to have store hours. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to have the ability to also have the flexibility to earn income from YouTube, which there is income that comes from YouTube, as you guys are aware. I wanted to have the income from YouTube, but have the flexibility to be there for my kids' birthday parties, or to be there to go on vacation with my family whenever we want. So I am choosing very deliberately. And when I said that I was planning on eventually winding down the store, I was in a couple of years. This whole sale of the building thing kind of sped things up, and then that ended up not happening. But what ended up coming of it was the ability for us to be more flexible in the way that our family earns our money. And to be in that position now, I will be forever grateful if I can continue this even for 5 years, to the point where my kids have graduated, and you know, and know that I was there for them as best as I could. I'm really looking forward to doing that. There's a lot of people saying I'll miss Hans. Why would you miss him? I'll be working with Hans again. I just haven't had anything for him to do lately. You know, we haven't had a need for renovations at the shop and things like that. But anyway,
it's funny because it is kind of like a show to a lot of people. But when we do the jobs and everything, we have our friends working for us, and we do pay all of our friends, of course, like an employee, because we don't want to take advantage of anyone ever. But we people assume that we know exactly what's going on in their lives at all time, but we have no clue. When we have a job or something, we call them up, see if they're busy, because we'd rather help them out than just calling a stranger.
Yeah, when we have a need for a job, we'd much rather give it to a friend. I would say that I'm fairly loyal in that sense, that if I have something that needs to be done, we'll try and use people that we are friends with or that we know, or find the right person for that job. So I'm sure down the road, I would love to do more home renos, you know, possibly look into doing crazy creative flipping of houses and involve Josh and Hans and stuff again. So those are things down the road, but it has to be the right time for it. And we've been very busy with getting our house built. And some of you said, well, why didn't you get Josh and Hans to build a house? Well, you have to be registered with the home warranty program. Mm-hmm. Hans is a handyman. Josh is a framer. But it's a much different thing to be a handy person or to be a framer, to building an entire house from scratch and offering a warranty on it and, you know, doing it to plan. That's an awfully big job. And so we ended up going with Drupad. And if we hadn't, you guys wouldn't have had a chance to meet Drupad, who's also become a wonderful part of our YouTube family.
And his whole family, they're all amazing. Like, I know how people can come off online, you have no clue really what they're projecting. They're actually genuinely amazing human beings. So we're very lucky that we have them.
I don't think I've ever seen him not smile.
No.
Except for the moment where his wife said he never uses the gym in the basement. That's the only time he went, I haven't had time. Otherwise, he smiles all the time. So we have some lovely people who've entered our lives, and we're forever grateful for it. And I think, if anything, the goal to go forward is to try and invest wisely in what we do. And when you talk about investing wisely, it's investing your time wisely as well. And for those of you that are doing this as a business, to buy in, to sell, or whatever it is you're doing, it took me a long time as an antique dealer to recognize that the larger profits were made in the larger buys. That if you buy things one at a time from people, you can make a little bit of margin, but you're fighting so hard to make $5 or $10 per item, where you could buy $1,000 collection and take everything and quadruple your money on it. And so for me, I think it's just that, where is my money going? How can I spend it on smarter things, and also still create content and have fun? So I'm just looking at investing my time and our resources a little wiser down the road. Anyway, at some point, maybe we'll just do a live chat, just talking all about my business models and ideas and stuff like that. Maybe it'll be of use to you, maybe it won't. But anyway,
you could even do a video on it and then have like chapters. What do they call that? When you
that sounds like it'd be boring though.
It's because I said chapters like a book. Okay, a live chat. Then
Section 1 2.0.
That way, if somebody has, the nice thing with lives is if you have a question, there's a chance I might see it, and then I'm here and I can be like, hey.
Yes. But guys, it is going to be a wonderful day for Melissa tomorrow. It is Melissa's birthday tomorrow. And
it
on
was
that
a wonderful day for me today too. I got to see Heather, and Alexander's mom had us over for supper.
Yeah, we went and visited with mom.
Yeah.
And I'm taking Heather on a pick with me tomorrow. The problem is Heather doesn't want to be on camera. And so I'm going to go on this pick and probably find some cool stuff, because every time I go there, I find cool stuff. The last time, this is what the story I'm going to end on. So I'm going to share a little bit of a story without sharing too many details. Don't worry, I'm not signing off yet. This will be worth it. This is last week. I went to a house, I want to say last year, and it was a little bit of a hoarding situation. I'm not going to lie. The guy had a whole bunch of really good LPs, really good records, like Miles Davis from the 60s, still in the wrapper, Jimi Hendrix, The Door, like all really good stuff. And I gathered it all up last year, and I made an offer. And when he saw all the stuff, and this is the thing, when people have, when they're collecting a little too much, they have a very hard time separating from stuff. And so he looked at it and he said, oh, I haven't seen those in years. Yeah, he never opened them from the 1960s. They were still sealed from the 60s, which is exactly how you want to find them. So when he saw them again after 50 years, he said, maybe I want to listen to those. Put them down on the floor. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm not buying these today. So I put them on the floor, and fast forward a year, I get a call back. Now, he's gone to a seniors lodge. He's elderly and has some health issues and stuff. And they said, why don't you come by? You can buy those records. So I go down to the basement. I'm all excited. I'm like, yeah, great. Here, well, let's talk about the money. That's all good. It's the same price I offered before. And I go to get a box to load them up, and they're stuck together.
Oh.
In the time that year had passed, his basement had flooded, or the roof leaked, or something. There was humidity. Something happened, and all of the records got moldy. And I flipped through hoping I could salvage some, and I was so disheartened, because they were all beautiful original records that were now all warped and gross and nasty. And so I flipped through them, all covered in green, when it's that green fuzzy mold. And I didn't have gloves on because I wasn't expecting, they weren't moldy when I was there last time.
This story gets worse.
It does get worse. So anyway, I'm like, man, I none of that's going to work. So I bought some stuff from the upstairs. Actually, all those watches and things that I did the video on came from that place. I went, I was on my way. I got a call and I had to go meet Drew Pat at the house. So I've just come from this hoarder house, and I hadn't eaten.
Oh my gosh.
And so I went to the Dairy Queen drive-thru to get myself a hamburger so I could eat it on the road, because I'm like, man, it's one of those days where I was so busy I couldn't even stop.
Have we not just come out of like a time where we all know how important it is to wash our hands? I mean,
so I didn't have time, because I only had like 20 minutes to get to the acreage from where I was. And so I was like, okay, well, and I'm starving. I'm like, if I could have opened a trap door and stuck the burger in my stomach, I would have. And so I ordered the hamburger, and I asked them, I'm like, you guys have like wet naps or anything? Because I'm like, my hands feel gross. And they're like, huh, no. I'm like, okay. And so I did the old, you know, in your pants, and you're like, okay, I guess this is what's happening. And I ate the burger, and I didn't get stomach sick. I want to tell you that much. But that night, I said to Melissa, weird, I must be allergic to my socks. Oh, Hans is on. Hey, Hans.
Hey, Hans.
I said, I must be allergic to my socks because they're really itchy. It must be the Lycra in the socks.
He was scratching so much, I said, I'm glad that you're scratching your leg outside of the bed and not, you know, in the bed and losing all those skin cells.
So that night,
Oh
the itchiness spread.
Oh my gosh.
And then my legs were itchy. And then I was just itchy everywhere. And my hands were itchy. And so I couldn't sleep. I was so itchy, I couldn't sleep.
None of us slept. Just.
Well, the kids probably slept.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
No.
Melissa probably didn't sleep.
No.
And so I go into the washroom at 3 a.m. and I look in the mirror and I look like a red bumpy turtle.
I have never seen anything like that before.
I was all hives. I mean, it's not like I had
Even his face up the back of his neck.
my whole body was hives. Everything. In fact, I took a picture of my arm. I had like splotchy red dots. It looked like I had like onset of severe like stage 4 leprosy or something kicking in.
Well, that means you Dr. Google.
I didn't Dr. Google. Anyway, it was awful. So I was like, man, that's pretty bad. So I took an allergy pill and I put anti-itch cream on and stuff. It didn't help. Those hives lasted for 4 days.
I went
4
to the-
days, and
I
I
went to the
still feel.
pharmacy, and I made sure, because he had no fever. He didn't have itching on the top of his mouth or his tongue or anything, because a lot of times that's signs that you need to get to the hospital. So no fever, so there was no infection. But when I was explaining to the pharmacist about his reaction, they said for sure if it's like full body hives like that, it has been ingested. And hand sanitizer wouldn't have helped because you have the mold spores on your hands. So you can sanitize that all you want. That's not killing the mold spores.
I think
That's
it went
just-
on the burger and into my mouth. Is what
Yeah.
happened.
So he ate those mold spores.
Yeah. And
Oh.
so I was the itchiest 4 days of my entire life. But I was just like, okay. I phoned the Medi Center and they're like, you need to go to the hospital. And I'm like, well, it's not getting worse. They're like, well, monitor it. They're like, can you breathe? I'm like, I can breathe, but my whole body is like a turtley hive. And they're like, well, just monitor and that's what I did. I monitored it for 4 days and look, I don't think I have any hives left.
But it was I seriously was concerned. There were several times that I stuck the thermometer in his ear.
So where the story is going is that's where I'm taking Heather tomorrow.
Oh my
That's the
gosh.
house. And
Oh my gosh.
I'll bring gloves with me though this time.
Oh gosh.
That's the thing though, guys, is that the house is gross, but there's Rolexes all over the floor and stuff, like, and there's crazy cool stuff, and I'm like, man, I can't just leave this stuff behind. I must save it. So
Heather, do you want to go and set up an insect unit instead?
okay, the moldy stuff is in the basement. The upstairs was okay. And they have stuff set aside for me upstairs to look at that I didn't see last time. Oh, what I'm trying to convince them to do, get this, guys. They have a safe in the floor and they have a safe in the office that nobody's known the combination for like 50 years or something crazy like that. So I have offered, out of the kindness of my heart, to pay for a locksmith to come and bust open the safes if I have first crack at what's inside to buy. And I think they're okay with it. So maybe we'll do
What if there's
Geraldo
nothing in there?
Rivera open it. Well, that's what happened. Geraldo thought he had Al Capone safe and they opened it on live T and it was empty. Wah, wah.
Oh.
Yeah, that might be me, but I won't shoot it live. I can
This
edit
is
it.
exactly why we started filming, because it's not like he just goes and picks up a box. He has like some. This is what happens for Alexander. Not only is there this pick with this potential crazy rash going to happen, but there's also some safe that hasn't been unlocked in how many years. Of course there is. Like that's not how my experiences go when I buy something. I go, I buy it, I go. There's no adventure to be had.
Yeah. So I do love my job. I don't know if it was worth the 4 days of hives. I'll have to be careful. And a part of me, this is the bad thing, guys. A part of me is like, well, if those albums are still in plastic, maybe I could just get some like disinfectant wipes and just clean them all off. That's where my brain goes because I still want to save this stuff, even though it'll probably end up in a landfill. But it's like, some of those albums could be worth hundreds of dollars each. And they're probably just going to chuck because they're all moldy now. It just drives me up the wall to see history lost like
4
that.
days, Alexander.
I was sick for 4
It's
days.
just a thing. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. Yes, wear a mask. It's
Oh, that's not so bad. Is this? Did you hear the story about this lady dropped her cell phone down a porta potty She dropped her cell phone down an outhouse, and she was like, "Oh man, that's my cell phone." And so instead of like, I don't know what you'd do in that situation, she decided she had her dogs with her, so she tied her dog leashes together. You can look this up online because everything you hear on the internet's true. She tied her dog leashes together.
How many dogs did she have?
I don't know, enough to make a length of dog leash rope, and she actually rappelled down into the outhouse.
Why is this thing so deep?
And they're pretty deep. If you ever looked at everybody who uses an outhouse looked down there at some point, you'd be like, gross, and then you sit down and do your business. You've never looked down there?
Well, we had an outhouse, but it wasn't like a park outhouse. Are you talking about like a park outhouse?
It was like in a park or something. But sometimes it's bad. We went to Hawaii once, and I looked down, and it was like mounted almost to the top. I'm like, oh man.
No, that one had it out of the top.
It was like
over the top.
It was over top of the.
You couldn't use it if you were a girl.
It was nasty. So anyhow, this lady rappels down into the outhouse, and it was so heavy that her dog leashes snapped and she fell in.
Oh my
Lucky
gosh.
for her cell phone was down there, so she was able to call for help and got herself out of there.
I don't know if I believe this story.
Look it up, you don't believe me.
But I think the second that it said, so she tied her dog leashes together, this would be the most. Can you imagine being that desperate for your cell phone?
This was a mean trick that I was working on a film set, and this lady was one of the assistant directors. And back when I started in film, this is the time people still hazed each other. This is like when in junior high you might get beaten up by the older kids. Like things have sort of mellowed out a bit, thankfully, since then. But at the job site, they used to still haze the new hires. And so the first assistant director told the third assistant director, which was lower, that somebody dropped their walkie-talkie in the porta potty, and they made her go in there with rubber gloves and search around for it, only to tell her, "Oh, gotcha." She was not happy. I think her name was Michelle. If you're watching this, Michelle, I felt for you. I was like, that's pretty rude. They told her that one of the actors or somebody dropped their walkie-talkie into the porta potty and to go get it. Because it's like $1,000 walkie-talkie. So they sent her in there with rubber gloves, and she was like, ugh! And then somebody, like after 5 minutes of her reaching around up to her elbows, told her that it was just a joke, and they were all laughing. Not the funniest thing. She was pissed.
Oh my gosh.
She probably like slowly poisoned them over a period of time.
Oh my goodness, that took a dark turn.
Why does my coffee taste like almonds?
Oh.
Never mind, drink up. But yeah, those were the days. Much different times, hopefully.
I can't remember who said. They said that it was a true story with the woman with the dog leashes because they read about it after they'd seen it on the news.
Yeah.
That's so awfully disgusting.
Anyway, this conversation has gone down the drain, literally. So we are going to end it here.
Oh my
the whole moral of this story is, hey guys, how's it going? I hope you do really well. Talk about the peaks and valleys. This is why we could never have a TV show. Could you imagine? We're going to try and inspire and motivate you. We're going to try and sell you some stuff and then talk about people falling in outhouses. What have you guys signed up for? That's what I want to know.
Aren't you glad you stayed till the end?
Anyway, go check out the auction. It's live now, and there's stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. If this wasn't my auction, I'd be bidding on this stuff. That's the truth. I'd be bidding like crazy on this stuff.
You did bid on this stuff and you won it.
Well, no, I mean, in the sense that I bought it originally.
Yeah.
I can't bid on my own stuff. But there's a lot of good things. Anyway, check out the auction sale. Thank you to Heather, to Matthew, to Bob, to Jim, to Todd, to everybody, to Dave, to all of you folks who have been on here asking wonderful questions and being great contributors of the live chat today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to log off. You're going to see me next on Saturday, or you're going to see the screen scrolling by as the auctioneer, and I'm going to be talking at the same time. We're going to live stream for a long time, and we're going to be talking on the live stream on Saturday. Tune in for that. And then sign up for the auction, kauctions.ca, and you can watch me being an idiot like I usually am, but on the auction site, because they're like, come on down. I'm like, okay. And I'm going to sit there on their live feed and talk about the stuff as it ends too. So a fun weekend for us, an important weekend for us, because like 90% of our inventory is going through auction. It's a big sale. Don't miss it. Check it out. And if you haven't subscribed, you should do that. Or maybe you're grossed out by it.
They're like, really? You should have asked in the beginning.
You should have told us before you talked about poo for 10 minutes.
If you get a chance, if you'd like to, please give us a thumbs up.
Anyway, have a good night, guys. We'll see y'all soon, and bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.